checking everything real quick. Alright, let's get this bird set up. Beautiful morning here at Stansted. Alright. First things first, let's get that open. Let's get our door open. Power. Just getting something set up. Alrighty. Now, let's get some power to this plane, shall we? So we'll get let's get battery 1, battery 2, external power so that the boys outside can do what they need to do. Standby power, we'll also have the avionics on because that always helps. Then, little tricks that I saw when watching a real life pilot get this plane set up. Let's get the auxiliary aux pump. Let's call it that. I can't even say the word. Let's get the aux pump on. As you can see, that's the word that I'm trying to say. So let's get it on. Press the condition lights, floodlights. We'll have those on for now. Get some APU power going. Now, in real life, I noticed the pilot turned on the APU, but he said you need to wait between 2 and 5 minutes in the real world before you turn on the APU bleed. Something to do with you need to give the plane a moment for everything to start working in unison before you give it the shock of the extra power. Who knows? But that's what he said. So we'll go with that. So while that gets itself sorted, we will also now get ourselves positioned. So let's get the plane to know where it is. Now, hopefully, the hope is that the flight plan is already gone left. That the flight plan I loaded in is actually in the plane, but I have a very, very strong feeling it isn't. Because it's not even in the home EFB, so let's try to reload that again. By the way, we are in the beta, just for the simple fact that this plane behaves so much better. In fact, everything behaves so much better in the beta at the moment. Even the sound quality of the planes is way more better in the beta. Right, can we actually get that sent? As you can see, the cursor is giving problems. Right, boom. Let's send that over again. Bring that back over. Get rid of that. Now, let's see. Did our flight plan load as it was supposed to? My feeling is it didn't. And if it did, it probably did on one screen, which means I've got to do it again anyway. So let's see. No and no. I had a feeling. Well, that's fine. That just means that I can show you guys how to do it yourself. First of all, let's get our millionaire customers on board. We'll top it right up. Hopefully a full tank can get us as far as where we're going, Geneva, the final stop. Do you believe it is? Right, so we are going to EHRD Rotterdam. Punch that into destination. Then we'll go to departure. We are leaving from runway 4. The CLN5S route. That's the departure that we're doing. Because I can see that over here. Let's get that punched in. Activate that. Back to pref. Go to landing. Runway. We are landed on runway 6. Let me just check flight radar real quick. Bear with me, just looking at flight radar to make sure that they're actually using that active runway. Because the sim likes to have you landing and taking off in the opposite direction to real world. Why, I do not know. Wonderful, there isn't one plane in Rotterdam, not one. Well, no one with their transponder on anyway. Right, so we'll go runway 6. ILS. My sauce. Red Bird. Arrival. Is next page. There it is. Activate arrival, and now we have our flight plan. Now, what I do with these computers is I have one page on the first page of the flight plan and the second screen on the second page of the flight plan. Why? Because then I can always see one, maybe 2 steps ahead of myself, as you need to when flying. Let's get rid of any discons. There's always going to have a discon. You always have a discontinuity. Just click the waypoint after it, click on the discon, and it's gone. Now we've got a free-flowing flight plan. Right. MFD set up. That's my vertical profile, so it shows me the speed in which we're climbing, the altitude we're meant to be up. I like to have that on both screens, like so. One side more zoomed out than the other, like so. One mistake I did make, why my screens are not active, it says HDG fell, because I forgot, before turning on the batteries, to turn on my IRS. That was silly. These you can turn on before the batteries because they usually take a while to spool up. Once they are active, what happens is the HDG fell on your screen will disappear, just like in real life. But I forgot to do them. It is 10 to 7. We're going up to, I've got 9,000. I want to go to 18. Let's go 19. That way I just need to add 10,000 feet to it. See, and now the CI is cleared and the screens are on normal. That's because of this. Just set them, your IRS, both of them, to nav mode, and that will clear the screen for you when setting up the plane. Right, we've got our passengers on board already. Let's get some cabin lights on. One final butchers. Let's get those stair lights on. We are good to go. There she is. Let's watch this takeoff, shall we? Alright, let's go. What might also be a really good idea is if I contact air traffic control. That might also be a good idea too.
Stansted clearance delivery. Cessna 10 Charlie 10 IFR to Rotterdam. Ready to copy.
Everything's usable on this plane, by the way. You can open all the cabinets. All of these drawers open.
Expect 9,010 minutes after departure. Departure frequency is 118.475. Squawk 7611. Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Read back correct. Contact ground on 121.7 tree. Good day.
And then we'll go. Cursor is really giving issues this morning. Go to ground. We'll push that pushback. Let's get the lights off. Door closed. Rubbish door closed. Ground power off.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Pushback request accepted.
Home screen. Let's have a look. QNH is 3045. So the QNH is here. 3045. You see the blue number there changing where it says Barrow. What did I just say? 3045. Set on both sides. Beautiful. Right, we are ready officially for pushback. So for those who fly on, who take flights, this is mostly what your pilots be doing. If you've ever wondered what are they doing, they're making the plane know where it needs to go. Right, we are good to go. Yes. Let's turn on the Hotas. Brakes off. Quick start. Beautiful. Look at that. Let's get the pilot heat on. That will clear some of these caution warnings on the screen. So let's do that now. Left the cursor, we'll play games. Let's zoom in so you can see what I'm actually doing. So we'll turn that on, that on. But now that will do. We will get that on and stop the pushback. Get those brakes on. Yes, get that switched on and collisions. Door closed. Taxi lights already on. Altitude set. Nav, VNav on. Vertical speed turned on. We're going to climb at 2,000 feet per minute on initial takeoff. Let's get ourselves situated so we're comfortable. A bit further back. Flaps. Don't know why that's coming to push us back again, so let's move forward before it does. Brakes off, power up. Bye-bye.
Stansted ground, Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
Let's hold here. We'll have flaps 15, as you can see here. The takeoff, flaps 15. Plane is running, so we can now... What did I forget to do? I forgot to turn on the APU bleed and have the fan on after 2 minutes. That's what I forgot. That's the only thing I forgot to do. But it's all good. We can turn off the APU now anyway, because the plane is now operating off of its own power. Right. Let's head to Rotterdam, shall we? Alright, let's go. 5 to 7. This should be a 45-minute flight, but in the Cessna 10, depending on your altitude, you can actually do a lot of the flights way faster. The speed on this plane is quite something, to be fair. Look at that. Those are real-world planes. So if you're watching this live, go onto Flight Radar. I'm sure you'll see those planes at Stansted right now. What's the temperature in the UK at 7 in the morning? 19 degrees. Is that accurate? How accurate is that? Let's have a look, shall we? Yeah, that is very accurate. My phone says 17, real feel 19, so yeah. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, it's 19 degrees. Hence why we're doing the stream so early as well, because the PlayStation tends to heat up. We're just waiting for this 737 to taxi and then we'll cut across. Really, we're supposed to be behind that yellow line, but who's watching? Just waiting for this guy to taxi out of our way, and then we'll cross the runway before the next plane either lands or takes off. And it's go time. Looks like somebody almost missed their turning. That was an interesting way for the AI to make that turning, but we'll go with it. Let's get across the runway before the next plane. We had to put an extra bit of power there because it was on a bit of an incline. Look at the traffic jam down there for taking off. I see at least 3 planes. Let's make sure everything's checked. Seatbelt lights check, nav lights check. Altitude set. Nav B, nav on, vertical speed on. Flap set. Now, this is the problem that I've got with this sim. The way that they've done the taxiing for the AI is all wrong. in reality, this plane should be taxiing down the runway, the taxiway on the other side, seen as he's inbound. The inbound should be taxiing on the right-hand side over there, because then they'll be out of the way of the departing traffic that would be taxiing from where we just came from. That's what they would do in reality. I don't think he would be taxiing along here. One way for me to check that is, let me go to flight radar, see where is he actually taxiing, because I'm sure he should be over there, not here. Let's see. They say don't use your phone when driving. That also amounts to planes as well. Let's zoom in, zoom right. On flight radar, there's a balloon near me, apparently. Looking out the window now, I don't see no balloon. What taxiway are they using? No, oh, shut up. The AI is going along the right taxiway. That is where... Why are air traffic control telling them to taxi along there? Interesting. Wow, I am looking at flight radar, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 planes lined up for taking off and 1 landing. It's a good thing the sim hasn't loaded all those planes in, because ahead of us there is only 2 planes, not 8. So let's speed this taxi up before the sim decides to throw those planes over there, because it tends to do that. Marketplace. So I bought the Huey, which is the latest plane, helicopter, aircraft that we've been given in the marketplace. On day 1 of release, nothing worked. Was getting memory loss continuously. It doesn't work in the beta because, you know, when you try to use new aircrafts in the beta, it tells you that the data for the plane hasn't been transferred, so I'm getting that a lot, so I don't bother with it. But yeah, the Huey flies quite well in the main sim. The screens now work, the sounds are great. All of its unique fixtures work, i.e. the infrared, night vision, all of that works. And there are a load of liveries that come with that helicopter. A lot of liveries. I think it's like 30 plus liveries. All in all, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It would get more, but the sim doesn't help it, to be fair, because the sim itself is still a bit broken, as we all know. Hence why we're doing these flights in the beta. Again, this is the beta that we're doing these flights in, just because the sim behaves way more better, planes sound more better. The sim overall just operates way more smoother in the beta at the moment, so that's what we're in. We'll stop here. That's for takeoff. Parking brake set. Oh, we're cleared. Nice. Parking brake off. Let's get all of our lights on.
Cleared for takeoff runway 4, Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
Alright. I didn't expect that. I thought we might have had to wait for him. Alright. Look at that for a liner. We'll do a rolling start, meaning we won't stop on the runway. We'll just get ourselves set up. Takeoff throttles. We're looking for 130 knots. 125, 128, 130. Positive rate. Gear up. Flaps at 5 or 15 in this case. Autopilot on. Get the climb up to 2,500 feet per minute. Then we will go direct. And now we will start our turn. Beautiful. We'll keep flaps at 5 until we're above around 5,000, between 5,000 and 7,000 feet. We'll keep our flaps down. Why? Because I'm trying to counterbalance the speed of the plane. Because this plane really gets up to speed very quickly. So to counterbalance the speed, we just use the flaps. So we'll keep the flaps at 5 for now. Beautiful. 3,000 feet. Let's get those lights off. Lights off. Check. Recognition lights can now go off. Check. In the commercial world, they tend to leave them on longer, but in the private world, I noticed they turn off their recognition lights very early. So you basically you're not able to see the plane at night as easy when they're flying private. I don't know why they do that. Let's bring that nose up. Don't know why that turned off. Let's get flight level change on or not. Oh yeah, that's because of my flaps. It's alright, we'll manually do that for now. So the speed that we're currently doing, I'm manually doing that for now until I get the flaps out. Where are we? 6,000 feet. Okay, so flaps can go up. Bring the nose down a bit. Direct to Ratlow. So let's go direct to Ratlow, which is interestingly not on there. Well, I know Redford is up here. Okay, so let's go direct Redford. That just cut about 10 minutes off the flight by doing that, skipping a couple waypoints, as air traffic control would allow you to do. If there was, you know, gaps in the airspace, they wouldn't make you necessarily fly directly to all of your waypoints. You do get an opportunity to cut corners, again, depending on how busy it is. Right, flight level change is on. Beautiful. We're at 250 knots. Climbing. Let's get clearance for 19,000.
Cessna X, Charlie 10. You are 1,000 above your assigned altitude. Descend and maintain 9,000 UNH 1031.
Now we're above 10,000. I will set the bio to standard. Let's get an increase of 10,000 feet. That'll take us to the 19 I've set.
Charlie 10. Climb and maintain flight level 190.
There we are there. And we are heading to there. When we get to the Red Fur waypoint, that's when we'll start our descent. By the time we get to Massos, we'll be at around 9,000 feet-ish. Probably lower than that. I'll aim to be around 6,000 feet by the time I get to this area. I only know that because I've done this route so many times. I've pretty much memorized the altitudes that you're supposed to be at each waypoint off of using the real flight plan charts, real world flight plan charts. I've done this route so many times. I know the altitudes that we need to be at. Alright, and here we are. It took us 12 minutes from taxiing from the gate to being where we are now. 10 minutes. No, we didn't have to wait for takeoff, which I thought we was going to be fair. Alright. Let's get the seatbelt lights neutral. Let's get the windshield heat switched on. Not one cloud in the sky. Look at it. I bet that KLM's going to Amsterdam. Let's have a look, shall we? Flight radar. What is that? KLM 1126. Let's have a look. Yep, it's going from Cork to Amsterdam. I'm literally tracking that KLM right now on flight radar. They're at 29,000 feet, doing 430 knots. I would normally fly at around 25,000 feet for this route, normally. But 19,000 is sufficient enough. And I mean, looking in the airspace, we are currently in, it is completely crowded. That there are so many planes flying this route right now. Looking at flight radar. Loads of planes going to Amsterdam and Frankfurt. Loads of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 10 planes on their way into Amsterdam that are on this flight path we're on now. There's a British Airways just ahead of us. 31,000 feet. And even though we can't see them in sim, the plane knows they're there, because look, it's telling me traffic. You see? So as much as I can't see them, the plane can. Yeah, right now where we're flying right now, the traffic is immensely heavy. The sim ain't picking them all up. There's even a drone flying near us. The drone's at 475 feet though. Doing 51 knots. So, how busy is Rotterdam? Amsterdam is very, very, very busy. But Rotterdam, where we're heading to, there's no planes near it that's got their transponder on, but I can't see anyone, which is good. Always keep your eye on your speed in this plane. Something I wasn't doing just now. You see on this screen where it says TOD, top of descent. 12 knot tailwind. Let's get our altitude set. We'll set it at 7,000. 7,000 set. Let's get our heading synchronization done. Beautiful. Once we make our right hand turn, we'll start our descent slowly down to 7,000 feet.
Cessna X, Charlie 10, descend and maintain 6,000.
There you go.
Descend and maintain 6,000, Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
I think I've done this flight before. But overall, I do get why people don't like this plane. There is a lot to be fixed with it. A lot needs fixing. Like, for example, I can't touch Navigraph, maps, weights, or config on this plane, on this tablet, because it crashes the sim. Whether you're in the beta or not, it crashes it. Your flight plan don't transfer from over here to over here.
10 contact Amsterdam Center on 119.175. Good day.
Going to 119.175, Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
There are a few things why I can understand people not having the full enjoyment out of it, but as I've said in my last stream, if you're not a person who relies on the sim to fly the plane for you, if you're actually able to fly these planes, you can get around a lot of the problems. Like what I do with this plane, you can get around a lot of the issues and still enjoy your purchase. Because remember, this was an add-on. I believe the exchange rate for coins to real money, I think this plane was about £35. It was about £35, I believe. So for that price, I can understand why people are pissed that they can't just hop in and fly, because you definitely can't. Not with this plane, anyway. Alright, we are doing well. We will indeed. So let's So I descend. Go flaps 1 because that helps to slow it down. Go flaps 5.
Cessna 10, Charlie 10. Please expedite your descent 6,000.
Double checking the flight plan, making sure everything is expected, which at the moment it is. We are now slowly making our descent down to 6,000.
Cessna 10,
So the descent in this area would normally be about 220 knots, but I'm lazy at the moment. I don't want to have to manually deal with the throttle on this plane for every flight. So to get around that, what I've done is I've turned on the VNAV. The VNAV is set up in the computer here for the speeds during its descent, and I've also put the flaps to 5. Now I know if I turn on VNAV and the flaps are up, then the plane will,
10, Charlie 10. Please expedite your descent 6,000.
the plane will descend at 250 knots, which is way too fast. So to counteract 250 knots, you put your flaps down 1 notch, and then while your VNAV is on, the plane will know it can't overspeed your flaps. So by having the flaps up 5, the plane will now go at a gradual descent at 210 knots, no faster,
Magic Sun 2 tree, 6 tree.
which will then give us a nice gradual descent, as opposed to dive bombing it. Why it turned itself off. That's the other thing about this plane. You really have to monitor it, because certain things just turn themselves off when they're ready to. But I like the plane. It makes you have to fly it. You have to monitor everything. Like there's times when the flight plan will duplicate itself for no reason. So it'll have the same flight plan you've put in there, but it would have doubled itself. So every waypoint, it wants to do it twice. So for example, we'd get to Massos now, and Massos would be next, and it would just be going in circles time after time after time for each waypoint. Don't know why that happens. So you have to monitor those things, because if it does that, you have to, while in flight, manually delete the extra waypoints you don't need.
Maintain 6,000 expect. ILS runway 06 approach 5 Massos transition.
Beautiful. Got our clearance. We are dropping way too slowly though. Do it myself. Thank you much. That's better. Also, when I was watching a YouTube video of a pilot who flies the Cessna 10 day in, day out, he gave me a very good insight, which is that you can use the speed brakes. Now, the speed brakes I'll show you. Those flaps there that just went up, that's the speed brake. Now, on most other planes, from my knowledge, you cannot open the speed brakes at any altitude because it will disrupt the airflow of the plane, yada yada yada. But on the Cessna 10, you can open the speed brakes at 40,000 feet if you wanted to, which is a very interesting bit of information I got out of watching that video. That on the Cessna 10 you can open the speed brakes at almost any altitude. It makes no difference to the plane, which is interesting. Same for the flaps. Flaps normally on most planes, it's probably best you don't open your flaps at, I don't know, 39,000 feet. Probably not a good idea. But on the Cessna 10 you can, to reduce the speed, because at the time this was one of the fastest planes in production. So yeah, Cessna put a few little quirks to it to assist the pilot in slowing the plane down during flight, which is interesting. Most planes you can't do that. I do like to watch YouTube videos of pilots who fly these real-world planes, because you get so much of an understanding of the planes you're going to fly with in sim. A very good understanding. Or you'll be watching a video and he's not talking about what he's doing, but you're just looking at what buttons he's pressing. And then you go to the sim and you're like, he pressed that button at that time. What did that do? That's how I learn these planes. Watch a few minutes of real-world videos and then implement what I've seen into the sim and see if it works. And 9 times out of 10, if I was paying attention properly, it works, because it's how you fly the planes. So far, this is my favorite to fly. Another fun fact about the Cessna 10 that I found out. Those wings, you see how sleek and far back those wings are? The only plane that has wings that are angled like the Cessna 10s is the 747. That's the only plane that's in production that has wings that are swept back as far as the Cessna 10. A 747. Imagine that. So they based the wing of this plane off of a 747. They're the only 2 planes that have wings like this. There's a fun fact for you. Look at that beautiful sunrise over The Hague.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10 contact, Rotterdam approach on 1 tree, 1.155. Good day.
You see what I mean? Gotta keep monitoring the plane, because things just turn off on their own for no reason. Or maybe there is a reason and I'm just not skilled enough with the plane to understand why it's doing it. But a part of me thinks that it's just the stim and not the plane, as it were. steady, controlled descent. We can get the windshield heater off. We'll get the seatbelt lights on, recognition lights on, beacon lights on, landing lights checked. Beautiful. Perfect. There's Rotterdam. Look at that photographic imagery. Enough sightseeing. Time to do some piloting. Look at the graphics down there. Right. Runway in sight. We'll go flaps 15. Autopilot off, my plane. We'll fly it manually for the rest of the way. Lights are on. Gear going down. Full flaps. Spoiler arms. Drag off all of that speed. Spoilers now closed. We've got a lovely headwind. Don't worry about the altitude. We'll shave off a lot of that in these last few seconds here. Just like That should pick up the glide slope in a second. There it is. Watching my speed. Minimums. Reverse thrust here. Spoilers armed. There's your view. Braking. Spoilers closed. Reverse thrust closed. And welcome to Rotterdam. Parking brakes set. Landing lights off. Taxi lights will remain on. Recognition lights off. Put back to post. Seatbelt lights off. Clear flight plan. Clear flight plan.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Taxi to general aviation parking via taxiway Victor 4 Victor Foxtrot Juliet.
Taxiing to general aviation parking via taxiway Victor 4 Victor Foxtrot Juliet. Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
Parking space. Oh, flaps up, let's clean that up. Let's load the next flight. In case you're wondering, those flights that you can see, I pre-loaded them and set them up using Flight Planner, flightsim.flightplanner.com. So these are real world flights. So that one we've just done. Let's do the next flight, load that in. Pay attention to where we're going at the same time. 37,000 feet. We'll have that. We'll go 50. Hopefully don't trip out the avionics. Let's see. Right, that's now sent over to air traffic control, which is our next flight. Ooh, the sim is not liking me sorting out another flight while in sim. It does not like me sorting out another flight in sim at all. see, the reality is that plane would not be parked there. All right. Parking brake set. Let's get the engines off to save our fuel. 1, 2, off. APU. Patches that off. Welcome to Rotterdam. Alright. Let's get some ground power on. There you go. Right, we are going to LSGG. Departure runway 6. Rudder. Great, beautiful. Craft. And then runway 4. ILS. Let's go vectors. EJ. There it is. Activate. Beautiful. Alright, flight. Next flight is set and good to go. Let's look for any discons. Get rid of that. There's another one. Click on the waypoint after the discon. Go back one page. Get rid of discon. Fly as assigned. We'll have to see what that is when we're up there. Beautiful. Right, that's set. Let's get our altitude set. 9,000, so I'll do 19,000 again. In fact, 29,000 is where we'll go on this one. So I'll ask 20,000. This is why they say, when you're playing this sim, just fly the same plane over and over and over again, just to get your muscle memory situated with the plane. That way, when you hop into whatever plane it is you're flying, everything becomes second nature. As you can see with this plane, for me, everything is second nature because I've spent literally an untold amount of time flying this plane. Let's have a look outside while we talk to air traffic control. She's all ready and set up to go. So, in fact, I'm going to do it from the inside. Because as I remember, it might glitch out when I communicate with air traffic control because I haven't left the sim. So let's see how this works. Let's get IFR. Hopefully if I do it from within the plane, it doesn't glitch out.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10 ready to
Geneva next stop. Climb and maintain 8,000. Okay, so we'll go to 28 then.
Cessna 10, Charlie 10, please acknowledge.
Not exactly central, but close enough. Not bad parking.
Departure frequency is 119.175. Squawk 3735. Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
Cessna 10, Charlie 10.
Expect
Readback
10,000.
is correct. Contact ground on 118.205 when ready to taxi. Good day.
So if it's telling me to expect 10,000, we'll go to 30 and ask for the extra 20 once we're airport. Beautiful. IFRT taxi. Now in this scenario, anything could be happening. Maybe the passengers you dropped here are picking up something. Depends on whether in your scenario the passengers own the plane or they're renting the plane. Or it could be a turnaround where you've got different passengers taking them somewhere else. There's a variety of things that would be happening in the real world with a private plane in this situation. You'd be surprised what the wealthy do with their private planes.
Taxi to and hold short runway 06 via taxiway Juliet Foxtrot Victor Victor 2, Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
Right, so we've got full clearance for taxi to take off. The plane is ready. Let's change the weights a little bit. And you'll see why I've turned off the engine, because now we're burning absolutely no fuel, which is very good. Forgot to turn off the pilot heat. That would have been a good thing to do. Right. Let's change this up a little bit. Let's put a little bit of cargo in there since we're lighter on fuel. Just like so. Load that automatically. So we're literally at max weight, as you can see here. Total mass 36,000. Maximum is 36,1. So we're literally at maximum weight. We are good to go. So we're heavier going to Geneva than we was coming to Rotterdam. This says this flight is 49 minutes, so about the same amount of time as the last flight. Let's do it. Close the luggage door. Get rid of that. We will close the main door. Got to turn the lights on. Right. Let's go to Geneva, shall we? One thing I do want to check. What runway are they landing at Geneva? Wow, it is busy in Geneva. Wowzers. They are using runway. Yeah, runway 4. Beautiful. Sometimes the sim gets it wrong. Well, it didn't this time. Alright, let's get pushback. Let's go.
Rotterdam ground, Cessna 10 Charlie 10,
Truck on.
requesting pushback.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Pushback request accepted.
QNH is 3048. Wonderful. Right, parking brake off. Engine start up. Now you'll notice, because I haven't left the sim, we've got HDG fail. Just keep starting the plane. It will clear. There you go. Stop. Beautiful. Parking brake set. Flaps being set now.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Hold position. Caution the Airbus A320 on the taxiway.
Let's get pilot heat
Hold
back
position,
on.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
Lights on. Safety lights on. Ground recognition on. APU can come back off. Beautiful. Right, is everything set? Altitude set. Virtual speed set. VNav, LNav switched on. Flaps are set. Parking brake on. That's fine. Alright. It's 9 o'clock in Rotterdam, so let's do it. That was a quick turnaround. Check. Let's do it. Geneva, here we come. Parking brake off. Taxi lights are already on. They go on automatically when you start the plane.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Continue taxi.
Beautiful. Right.
Roger, Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
Geneva, the next stop, gentlemen. Should be around 45 minutes, which means in this plane I'll be able to do it in less than 40, probably 30 minutes or so. And then that'll be the end of the stream. Because this room is warming up. It's gonna be another hot day today in the UK. It's extremely warm already. Incidentally, how hot is it in Rotterdam? 20 at 9 AM. And we are using the rudder pedals, the Thrustmasters. One of those purchases you wonder what would you have done without it. Same for the Hotas 4. Just makes all of this become so immersive, as you can imagine. Not a cloud in the sky across Europe. Look at it. Wonderful flying conditions. A bit late on the brakes there, that's okay.
Rotterdam Tower,
Geneva is very, very busy right now. We'll see if it is in Sim.
QNH 1032. Cleared for takeoff runway 06.
Cleared for takeoff runway 06. Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
Right. Cleared for takeoff. Let's get all of our lights on. Check. Cleared to enter the runway. No oncoming traffic. From what I can see, cleared left, cleared right. Interesting. Very interesting. Almost like the plane got stuck in mud. Alright. Another rolling start. Let's go. (904). Looking for 130 knots. Remember, we're at max weight for this flight. 140 is nice. Off we go. Positive rate. Gear up. Wow, that was good. Just had wind shear all of a sudden. Flaps to 5.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10 contact Amsterdam Center on 119.175. Good day.
Going to 119.175.
Full pilot going on.
Amsterdam Center, Cessna
Nose
10
going
Charlie
up.
10 is at 1,100 climbing 8,000.
Lights off.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10, Amsterdam Center, QNH 1032. Radar contact. Continue to RSL 04.
We are well on the way. Get situate our situation here. Direct to. One more. Go direct Woody. No. Next page. Where's oh. I see why there was a discontinuation. I see. Oh, waypoints at Indies. That's why it says fly as assigned. Because it's that part there. Alright, beautiful. Now we know that. I can prepare for that when we arrive there. Alright, plane's good. We're at 5,000 feet right now. Flaps are still at 5 to control speed. We can bring the nose down a bit here. Above 6,000, I'll put the flaps up. Photographic imagery. That's the city of Rotterdam, right there. Just a quick pass through. Pause. One tank of fuel. London to Rotterdam, Rotterdam to Geneva. I'm actually going to be doing Geneva to Nice and then Nice back to the UK, but I won't be streaming those legs of the flight. Alright, let's flaps up. Flight level change on. Goodbye, Netherlands. Ah, yes. Let's make our request. I just remembered. For 30,000 feet. So let's get that request in now. Or shall we go to 20,000 feet? Where are we?
Amsterdam Center, Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Request flight level 200.
Cessna 10, Charlie.
We'll go 25.
Climb and maintain flight level 200.
Climb and maintain flight level 200. Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
25,000 feet is sufficient enough for this flight, I do believe.
Amsterdam Center, Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
We don't fly over the Alps or anything, so it's all good.
Cessna 10, Charlie 10. Climb and maintain flight level 200. Expect flight level 250.
All right.
Expect flight level 250. Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
All the way up to 25,000 feet. And on that note, I am going to make a well-deserved coffee. Beautiful. Look at that.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Traffic is 3 o'clock, 4 miles, at flight level 270. Airbus A220. Report them in sight. Easy 2747. Descend and maintain 2300.
Descend and maintain 2300. Easy 2747.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10, contact Air Center on 118.05. Good day.
118.05 for Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Paris Center, Cessna 10 Charlie 10, flight level 250.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Paris Center, radar contact. Continue to RSL 04. Airbus 227, contact Paris Center on 126.475. Good day. Airbus 227. Cessna 10 Charlie 10, contact Reef Center on 128.3. Good day. Cessna 10 Charlie 10, Reef Center, radar contact. Continue to RSL 0. Cessna 10 Charlie 10, contact Air Center on 118.05. Good day. Cessna 10 Charlie 10, Air Center, radar contact. Continue to RSL 0. 10 Charlie 10, contact ream center on 128 decimal tree. Good day.
128 decimal tree, Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Ream center, Cessna 10 Charlie 10, flight level 250.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10, ream center, radar contact. Continue to FM 302. Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Traffic is 12 o'clock. For miles. At flight level 285. Boeing 767. Report them in sight. Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Descend via Delta Juliet Lima 2 November to 8,000. Expect ILS runway 04 approach. Vectors to final.
Descend via Delta Juliet Lima 2 November to 8,000. Expect S runway 04 approach. Vectors to final. Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
Cessna 10, Charlie 10, contact Marseille Center on 120.85. Good day.
120.85. Cessna 10 Charlie 10. Marseille Center. Cessna 10 Charlie 10 is passing flight level 200, descending 8,000 via the Delta Juliet Lima 2 November arrival.
Cessna 10 Charlie 10, Marseille Center, radar contact, continue to dive. Cessna 10 Charlie 10, keep speed not above 250 knots.
Keep speed not above 250 knots. Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
Right. We're finally starting our descent. Sort out our lights. Keep the lights on.
Good day.
Going to 130.555. Cessna 10 Charlie 10.
Right, let's get the computer set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit direct. And that's where we're going to be going direct to, but I won't hit it as yet. Above 7,000. So you got to be careful of your altitude in this region because there's so many mountains all over the place. Right, let's get heading waypoints. So we'll fly heading direction for a few nautical miles before making a sharp left-hand turn towards the runway, because the airport is over there. You don't want to get low too quickly in this region. We'll start making our left-hand turn shortly. We'll switch from nav to heading. We'll stay on this heading for a few nautical miles and then we'll turn nav mode back on once we hit direct on this side. Direct Indies after we get past a certain point. We could actually make that turn now if I'm honest, so let's do that. Direct to Indy. Let's make that turn right now and we'll turn nav mode back on, and there you go, we're making our turn now. Wonderful. Let's get some of that speed back up. Gotta watch our altitude in this area. There are mountains everywhere. Get our lights on. So start the sun. Runway in sight. Oh yeah. QNH is 3042. QNH shut. Look how blue that water is. All right. Landing lights on. Seatbelt lights on. Recognition lights on. Gear down. Autopilot off, my plane. Full flaps. Beautiful approach into Geneva. $23 degrees. Beautiful summer's day right across Europe. Hold the glide slope beautifully there, all the way in. I think I'll taxi to interesting. Might Let's go find a parking space and shut down. Taxi lights stay on, landing lights off. Oh. Welcome to Geneva. Parking brake set. Engines shut down. AD on. Delivery unit on. Clear. Open, and there we are. Geneva. And there was our flights, UK to Geneva via Rotterdam. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and I'll catch you on the next one. Have a great day.